We Geek podcast on the N.FM. My name is Logan, and I'm joined by my good friend Adam.
Hey, what's up?
Adam's a little under the weather this week, so I'm going to kind of steer the reins on this one. Um,
Yes.
I wanted to call this one, was it Wednesday, December 28th, but I've decided unilaterally 2016 is over. It is done. It is finished. It gets no more. So
Here, here.
we are just on kind of, you know, wind down days until New Year's. Because, man, we had the news earlier this week about Carrie Fisher having a heart attack, and everybody just kind of rallied to say no. This year has sucked bad enough. No. Um, and then I think it was the next day, George Michael died,
Right.
and just a huge, just a massive figure, not just in 80s music, but for LGBT rights
Right.
and imperfect, but that's everybody.
That's
And
everybody, man.
that was bad enough, and we were just still kind of digesting that when we got the news that Carrie Fisher had indeed passed, and I'm done with this year, man.
Well, the
I'm
thing was, from what I understand, we got word that she was in stable condition,
Yeah,
that things were better, and so it was like, okay, maybe we dodged a bullet there. Maybe she's gonna be okay. And oh God.
yeah. And it made me looking over everything. It reminded me I've never actually read any of her books. Like, I knew she was a writer. I knew she'd done a lot of screenwriting. I knew she'd come in and helped fix a ton of scripts. And that's something that there are a good handful of screenwriters that do. But it was who was it? Raymond Feist did a whole thing about, in quotes here, script doctoring, which is a term that gets thrown around for a handful of different reasons. But
Hmm.
there was always kind of talk, oh yeah, she does a lot of screenwriting, but didn't have a lot of credits, and this is why. It was all just kind of like, yeah, you come in, you do what they call a weekly to fix things, and then you're done. You get paid, you get thanked, and then you're on your way.
Right.
But I went and I looked, and I was like, all right, I need to read a couple of these books. So I'm gonna do that over the next couple days. And looking back over this, and I mean, not just for that, but for her work with mental disorders. Like, she never shied away from talking about it.
Right.
And being a woman in Hollywood is bad enough, but having a mental illness on top of that, I mean, that's to come out and just say, hey, look, here's what's going on, and this is why I'm not going to let it run my life. Huge.
Right. She made it okay to talk about. She would joke about it,
Yeah,
and the only way to kind of make it okay to come out and discuss and talk, she would make light of it in a
yeah,
weird way. But yeah, dude, it's terrible, man. I don't know. I'm at kind of a loss for words here. It's weird because some celebrity deaths, they affect everyone differently. People gravitate towards certain celebrities and whatnot, and
right.
this one really hits home. And I think for both of us, because it's I forgot who I heard say this. It might have been Kevin Smith, but we welcome these people into our homes, into our living rooms, and it's almost as maybe it was Mark Hamill that said it. And like, we welcome them into our living rooms and our homes, and we've been welcoming, for example, Carrie Fisher since we remember things. At least for me,
Yeah,
since I started remembering things, I've known Star Wars and Princess Leia and everything else, and following her work and whatnot. And you don't know them, you might have never met them, but you still get attached, and you still to hear that news, it's devastating. Um, and yeah, I don't know, man. I'm at a loss for words here because it's this one hits kind of close to home.
yeah. And if I can take a couple minutes, I know this is going to kind of bog things. This is the depressing part of the show, and then our show today was just going to be, here's all the ways 2016 was pretty cool, and look at some things moving forward. But with what happened, if I can do, because I kind of want to do an in memoriam, because I have somewhere I'm going with it instead of just reading a list, which is how I'm gonna start. And this is a partial list for just how crappy 2016 was. We lost Vilmos Zsigmond, who was a cinematographer, and Kevin Smith on Hollywood Babylon did a beautiful eulogy for him. And I had never heard of him. I had no idea. He worked with him on I I want to say Jersey Girl or Chasing Amy. I
Mm.
can't remember which one, but he told this fantastic story. And if I can uh, if I find it, I'll put it up on the page which episode it was. 'Cause it's a great story. We lost David Bowie, Alan Rickman, Glenn Frey, Abe Vigoda, Joe Alasky, who was a voiceover actor. He took over. He was one of the people that took over after Mel Blanc. Maurice White from Earth, Wind and Fire, Harper Lee, Tony Burton, Keith Emerson, Gary Shandling, Patty Duke, Merle Haggard, Prince, Yuko Mizutani, who was a prominent Japanese voice actor, Alan Young, Muhammad Ali, Christina Grimmie, Anton Yelchin, Gary Marshall, David Huddleston, Kenny Baker, Mr. Fuji, who was just one of the best managers in wrestling history,
Oh yeah.
Gene Wilder, John Polito, Alexis Arquette, Edward Albee, Curtis Hanson, Bill Nunn, Michael Massey, Leonard Cohen, Robert Vaughn, Florence Henderson, Ron Glass, Peter Vaughn, Alan Thicke, Zsa Zsa Gabor, Richard Adams, and of course George Michael and Carrie Fisher. And reading that list, the more I thought about it, the more I thought we could focus on how awful 2016 was, and we can look at all the people we lost, or we can use this to say, look, every field lost somebody, and this is, like I said, this is just a partial list. There are actors and producers and singers and dancers and people from the arts in every nationality everywhere. So
Mhm.
if you're somebody who's listening to us, or pass this along, let every one of us who is creative in some way, let 2017 be our year. Let us step up and claim next year. We're not trying to fill their shoes. We're not trying to say, well, I can take their place. No, but the arts, so many of them have huge voids after this year, and they need more talent, or at least people who want to give it a shot. I've been toying with writing for I don't even know how long. Um, and what I am gonna do, this is my New Year's resolution, is not just to write something in 2017. It is to be published by the end of 2017. Is to have something, a novel, a collection of short stories, poetry, I don't care, something published and available for sale, hopefully, by the end of 2017. Maybe it's great, maybe it stinks, who knows. But I am tired of coming up with excuses to not do something. So, whatever, if you're somebody who is an artist, or if you're somebody who has ever said, I'd really like to try, and then fill in the blank there, make 2017 your year. Whatever it is, drawing, dancing, sculpting, singing, playing drums, whatever it is. Let's do that next year. Let's take everything that sucked about this year and turn it into something positive next year. So let's to because this is the age of Twitter, we'll have it a hashtag. We'll call it the call to arts instead of call to arms. So let's do that. Instead of focusing on everything that was terrible, let's do something good next year. How's that?
Yeah, no man. I don't even know what to say. I love that idea. I got to think about that. Yeah, that's I can't really follow up to that because you just said everything. But I agree, man. I agree. I love that call to arts. We should make that a hashtag and get people doing it and
Yeah.
see how many people we can get to do that next year because you're absolutely right. Yeah. You know, moving forward, that's the best thing we can do is to give back as much as we can into that field. Um, Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know what to say. You've kind of taken it. You kind of taken it there, buddy.
So yeah, so that was the sort of somber part of the podcast. But let's do something with that. Let's make that something. There are, and tell everybody. Make this a big thing. Let's do this.
I agree. Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. So, there's really no way to segue out of that, but
No, not really.
let's start talking about the things that were really good about 2016, things that we enjoyed. Um, if we have time towards the end, we'll get into some news that we got. It's kind of a short week just because all the big news we just talked about basically.
Yeah.
And everyone else is kind of on their winter vacation as it is, and so I think most websites, most podcasts are doing their year in review type thing. I know Giant Bomb does their big one, which is always cool to listen to. They do like behind the scenes where they'll record for like hours, and each day they upload like 3 hours of them like deciding video games and stuff. It's really interesting.
Oh,
Highly
nice.
recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah, checking them out. But ours are going to be more of we're just going to give you a list of the things we enjoyed basically. And I was looking over at Logan's and it's pretty much most of the same. You've actually seen a lot more than I have
Well,
this year.
yeah. Well, you know me. I go big on movies. So. But
You
I
do,
think, yeah.
yes,
But I think you've
absolutely.
played more games than I have, for sure.
I probably have played more games. I've probably seen more television as well.
Yeah.
And of course, you just killed it with the books. So can't wait to hear about a few of those. And
Yeah.
we're actually going to talk about as well uh, our comics this coming year. Spider-Man. Do you know how many issues they're up to right now?
I don't know where they are in the current run. They're in the what are they up to? Got to be up to 30s or 40s by now.
30s or 40s.
At least,
Um,
I would think.
well, no, I mean we kind of need to decide, I guess, because Uncanny X-Men. That's the one I've decided I'm going to pick.
Yeah.
It breaks off and turns into so many different kinds of volumes that it might be a little confusing.
Yeah. This was my way of thinking. So wait, because we've talked about this a little bit, and our this year was supposed to be like a book a week, and that kind of, I mean, we gave it a good shot. Uh,
Oh yeah.
but
Oh, you still stuck with it though. I could not keep up with that.
it's go big or aim big.
Yeah. Yeah.
But next year we're each gonna pick a comic series and read all of them. And here's what
I
I
will
was
say
thinking. Go for it.
real fast. I will say this. I have read more books in this year than I think I've ever read in my entire life. So
Well,
I'm glad I was able to do that. you know,
there you go.
and you've introduced me to a ton of books that I probably would have never read
Nice.
otherwise. So yeah, I you know me, I stick to Star Wars. I'll go read that. Like that was my go-to, and I'm glad I was able to branch off and see what else was out there.
Yeah. Well, and that was more the point of just like,
Mhm.
hey, let's find something different.
Right.
And if that came across, then mission accomplished, totally.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, because next year we're aiming to by the year's end have read each of us have picked a comic series. You've
hmm
picked Uncanny X-Men,
hmm
and I've picked Amazing Spider-Man. And
Yep.
now I do not know because does Uncanny there is like a through line with Uncanny X-Men, right? Like it is its own series for however many hundreds of issues at least, right?
Right. So when I looked at Wikipedia, it says Volume 1 is 100 through 544. Volume 2 with 18 annuals. Volume 2 is 20. Volume 3 is 36 plus 1 annual as of January 2016.
Okay.
The thing is that the X-Men series Uncanny wasn't always the main series.
Right.
It branched off to just X-Men in the 90s, and Astonishing, I think, was at some point. Now it's a few different ones. So I'm going to stick with Uncanny so that at the end of the day, I can say I have read every issue of Uncanny X-Men that exists. because yeah, I mean it branches off to X-Force and Extraordinary X-Men.
Right.
All new X-Men was kind of the main thing for the last few years, but I'm gonna stick with Uncanny, the the original title. I imagine you're gonna do the same thing with Amazing.
Right. That's my idea. Is that the only like I'm gonna read Amazing for this 700 issues I think that it runs,
Hmm.
six or 700 I forget.
Right.
And then follow the main story. It goes through Superior and then it comes back into Amazing again. The only time I'm gonna dip into Spectacular Spider-Man or any of the other spin-offs is during a storyline where it's necessary. Something like the Maximum Carnage story, which was like 12 issues of like every other comic together.
That's a
That's
good idea. I might do that with X-Men. I'm gonna have to look into it to see which ones are crucial.
yeah, that's yeah, that's my thing of like. And now I'm undecided on something like Civil War, because
Yeah, that's a lot to read.
right. Well, or I mean,
We,
even just like here's the Spider-Man Civil War books, but do I also need to read the main Civil War series too, just to
well, see,
just to make it complete? You know?
I think that's a problem we're both gonna have because
Yeah.
with X-Men especially, a lot of their big events were crossovers where
Yeah.
you have to read, a lot of the other books that tie into it. I don't know how because this is a lot of books. I want to make sure I read every Uncanny.
Right.
It all depends. I think we'll get a pulse around halfway throughout the year to see kind of where we're at. And if I'm super low in numbers, I might just stick to the Uncanny and go with it. I will probably for the big events and stuff like that. Like I want to make sure. I don't know if the Phoenix Saga and stuff like that. I don't know if they cross over. So those are the big ones I'll know for sure if I need to
Yeah.
do that. But yes, I think that's a good idea. The big events definitely definitely read the other issues.
Yeah. Because I remember like Maximum Carnage is like Amazing Spider-Man is like part one, and then the next Amazing issue is like part six. So I'm like, nope, nope, hang on, back up. You got to have the rest of them for that to make sense.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, during the break I'm going to calculate how many issues I'm going to need to read a day for this because it's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot. So we'll find out. You want to take a quick break? I think we're coming up at time.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. You're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. We'll see you guys all in a minute.
Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And before the break, you said you were going to do math on how many Uncanny X-Men issues you were going to have to read. Did you come up with a number?
Oh, son of a bitch! I didn't do that. So I'll tell you in just a moment.
Okay.
I'll pull it up while
Yeah,
you.
go ahead and do that because I have two words that I had forgotten about when it comes to in terms of just how many issues of Spider-Man I'm going to have to read. And I was talking
Mhm.
about, oh, you only have to read, there's some that cross through like a handful of the different uh, issues that they had. There was one that ties in through the entire line for almost 2 years. The Clone Saga. The
Oh.
damn cursed, awful, horrible Clone Saga. Not the new one that's apparently pretty good. I haven't read it yet, and that makes me mad because it's apparently really good.
Yeah.
But the one that was just an absolute monstrosity and a catastrophe, and oh, that's gonna make my life miserable.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I've actually heard a lot of good things about the current Amazing Spider-Man, and that's something I
Yeah,
need to get back onto because I've always enjoyed Spider-Man.
yeah, and especially with Slott's work, he's man, my hat's off to him for everything he's done for that book.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So mine is well, you didn't tell me how many
It's
issues is it?
it's 700 just for the Amazing Spider-Man by itself.
Oh wow. Okay, so if I'm doing the math here right, and I'm probably not, um, the for volume one, 545 issues, volume two, 20, volume three, 36, 18 annuals in the first one annual in the third one, 620 issues. But there is a volume four. Wikipedia is all weird because
Right.
this is volume one, two, three, and four, but then it says number of issues, volume one, two, three, and three. I don't know. it's all weird. I'll get it by the end of the show, but the that's what I'm just basing off Wikipedia. I'm gonna look it up on different sites to see exactly how many issues of Uncanny there are. But I guess, yeah, Spider-Man did come out before the X-Men, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It started with Amazing Fantasy 15, way
And
way on back. Yeah, Spider-Man was big time early.
there's a lot of double shipping.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. It was bi bi-weekly. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That is crazy.
yeah, that's big fun there. But really, it's not going to boil down to any more than like 2 or 3 issues a day at
Yeah,
most. So the per day is not going to be bad.
no,
Um,
no.
it's just
It's it's gonna catch up when, like, for example, a weekend comes by and you're just you're slammed. A few days you let slip by. That's the only thing I see causing me an issue is, I go on vacation or do something where I'm just not, we all get in moods, I think, where we're just not in the mood to sit down and go through them. I think that's what's going to be rough. I think the early ones are going to be pretty rough too. Um, I
yeah.
don't think they hold up as well.
No, no, they're very dated.
Yes. I can't wait to get to, like, the stuff that I've always heard about but never actually read, like a lot of the stuff in the 80s and whatnot. Um,
Oh yeah, some of the yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah. And there's a podcast all about basically what we're kind of doing. It's called Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men. I think it was called Rachel's and Miles Explain the X-Men, but it's called Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men. Explain is Xplain.
Okay, sure.
Um,
Yeah, why not?
and they every yeah every every podcast they do, they break down, like, either like a specific issue or like two or three or four or a run. And it's a really good podcast. I know we keep plugging things, but highly recommend them if you love X-Men. That's what kind of that's I forgot how this idea came about with us. But I kind of wanted to do that ever since I heard that podcast. I was like, it'd be cool if we kind of just went through all of them.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
yeah. So, but yeah, no, dude, I can't wait. I fucking love the X-Men, and I love that I want to be able to say, oh yeah, I've read every issue of that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Uncanny X-Men was first published September of '63. Amazing Spider-Man March '63.
Oh, wow,
So they're
jeez.
they're actually a lot closer than I thought.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't know, but yeah, I think Spider-Man is just more popular. That's why I probably had the double. They're shipping twice a month, when
Yeah.
X-Men wasn't. But then again, X-Men in the '90s just blew up.
Yeah, I'm trying to see like if it says when if I'm trying to see like when Spider-Man became an every 2 weeks,
Yeah,
but it doesn't. I'm sure it's in here somewhere, but like I don't know.
yeah.
It'll be buried in there. But so yeah, that's gonna make for an interesting year next year, no doubt.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely.
But
Yep.
all right, let's take a look back at what was good about 2016 because there was some good. There's some good movies, some good games. It's good
Oh, yeah.
TV. It's good year for TV.
All right, where should we get? Where do you want to start?
I don't know. Just do like we do with our regular show. Just start with movies and work our way through.
Okay, sounds good. Tell me now. This is not going to be in any sort of order, right? So we're just going to kind of talk about.
Yeah, like
Uh,
I just put them. I just put everything down chronologically. Like I just went on Wikipedia and was like, okay, here's a list of everything that came out when. I like that. I like that. I like that. Like that was. This isn't a
gotcha.
like. It's not really a top 10 list. They're meant to be like. They're not ranked or
Well,
anything like that.
let's talk about the first one I see here on your list, Hail Caesar.
Yeah, Hell Caesar was the Coen Brothers film. George Clooney and oh, was it Josh Brolin? I think was in it too. And it was the one about the like it was set during the like golden age of Hollywood kind of thing.
Right.
Did you ever get
I
around to seeing that?
I did. I don't think I liked it as much as you did. I wanted to like it a lot more,
Yeah.
but it didn't have his hooks in me like a lot of their other films do.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I know going in what kind of film it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of dialogue. It's going to be just, it's cool, but it just, I don't know. It didn't get a hooks in me like a lot of their other ones.
And it
You know,
gave us all the it gave us all the cowboy who's going to be playing Han Solo. So there's that.
yes, that is true. That is true. I might actually go back and rewatch it just because of that.
Yeah, give it
Um,
another shot.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, Anything else you want to say about it?
I no, it was just I'm weird on Coen Brothers films.
Hmm.
Like I part of me is like these are amazing and sometimes I don't know. I watch them and I'm just like eh. I don't know. Like
Right.
they're not always out of the park with me, but I enjoyed this. I did. I like this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, to me, they can't all be "Oh brother, where art thou?"
No, amen.
You know, yeah, and so um, Big Lebowski. Those are like some of my favorite of them.
Yeah.
Um, No Country for Old Men is another good one. I really liked like True Grit, but they can't all be like that. One movie I do want to see that I never actually got around to was Inside Llewyn Davis.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, Oscar Isaac from was that 2014 or 2015?
2013 or 14.
Wow,
I
even
know it was
further back.
earlier than 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. That deserved the all the award love that it got.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I want to see that. Um, but yeah, yeah. It was okay for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I wanted to like it more than I did, but it was a good movie.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend it. All right. Let's see here, and the next one on the list here.
Yeah, there was this weird comedy that came out this year. And
Valentine's Day.
yeah, I don't know if anybody had really heard a lot about it. It was this bizarre little side project that a studio was working on. I don't know why. Um, but they'd been kind of doodling this idea around, and eventually it's Deadpool. I can't do that crap anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, it really made studios go, hey, if we do two things, let's if there's two things that we know we can do to make a movie successful when it comes to the comic book genre is stay true to the source material, and it's okay to take risks like making it rated R.
Yeah.
And I hope that moving forward that the studios don't just go, oh, that's cool, we can just make rated R films, because we've seen that and they haven't been that good.
Yeah.
And we've seen films try to stay too close to the source material and then not be good as well. I think those two combined really helped this film on so many levels, and it works with Deadpool. Deadpool being rated R. I think that's why we're getting Logan rated R, because they're like, you know what? And I don't want Logan to be funny at all. I don't want it to be maybe have a few funny moments, but I want it to stay true to that old man Logan. As long as they stay true to the character and the story, I'm fine. I'm sorry, not story, but you know what I mean. It can be a completely different story, but as long as it stays true to the characters and what that story represents or whatnot, I'll be perfectly fine with it.
Right. Old Man Logan is a classic The Last Gunslinger story.
Right. Exactly.
And as long as it sticks with that, and for them not to shy away from an R rating, is not it's not it's fun. It's one thing to be cynical and be like, oh well, Deadpool did good, so they're gonna have like it's gonna be gratuitously violent and blah blah blah. Look, if there's a reason Wolverine had his own Marvel Max series.
Hmm. Yeah.
He cuts people up with his claws. That's
Right.
inherently violent. Like
Right.
there's
And we're dealing with a complete. It looks like this is like this is a way into the future type world that like he needs to survive type thing.
right.
Uh, I think it's gonna fit, and I think it's gonna fit well. I think this is not for the. This isn't the big family-friendly film that you're going to take your kids to go see. This is something maybe you're going to take your teenager to go see, and you're going to go see as an adult. And this is, once the kids grow up a little bit, they can see it as well. But this is going to be the Wolverine film that, yeah, we've kind of been wanting for a while now. We've always said we understand. And I never thought they would do a rated R X-Men type film because I always thought we know they won't. I don't think Marvel will. The reason why I say that is because we see it on television, we see it on Netflix.
Yeah,
They have their rated R there, and it's the perfect place for it.
absolutely.
Yeah, we don't need Iron Man or Captain America to be rated R. The rated R characters that they're choosing are the perfect ones to do so. Um, so yeah, man, I can't wait. It's gonna be sad. It's gonna be bittersweet. I hope it's his best performance as Logan. I hope the whole film in general is the best Wolverine film. Because that would be such a cool film to go out on. Now there are talks that Ryan Reynolds is dead set on getting him in a Deadpool film, but we'll see. I would love that.
I I think that if nothing else, he pops up as a cameo at some point. I just because I think he has to. They'll
Right.
work out a deal because he'll want to. He'll
Yeah.
absolutely go for it.
hmm Oh yeah, and I think if somewhere down the road Marvel and Disney do make some sort of deal like Sony did, I think he'd pop his head back in and go, "That would be cool for a cameo." But I think this is going to be his official starring swan song, if
Right?
that makes sense.
He's not gonna like if he pops up in a Deadpool movie, he's not gonna co-star.
Right, exactly.
It's
He'll just be a fun surprise.
yeah. It'll
Yeah,
be a minute long scene somewhere or something, and that'll be that. It's a day's shooting. He's done,
exactly. Yeah.
and that's fine. That would be perfect. I think that would be great.
But yes, Deadpool. Can't sing enough praises about it. I can't wait to see what they do with the sequel. Um, Ryan Reynolds, I trust the movie in his hands. He knows what he's doing. He's lived with this long enough, and I can't wait personally.
Yeah, and I love. Did you see when they announced he was going to get a star on the Walk of Fame? How Hugh Jackman kind of roasted him over it. It was hysterical.
Oh yeah,
Like how he starred in the 12th best DC Comics film. Like,
that's
it's great.
fantastic.
It was great. But
That's
it
great.
because it capped off with like and now because I have a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, he has to keep copying me and get one of his own.
Right, right,
That's
right.
it was magnificent. I loved it.
That's great. That's great. Let's because we got a long list to go down here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the next one. What did you think of Zootopia?
Zootopia was one where like I'm watching the previews and I'm like, okay, it's Disney, they're animals, they're oh well, this is kind of different, okay. And then you watch it and it hits you. Like
Right.
this is one of the best, just as a Disney movie, just as like, hey, we've built this story, here's this world, it's Disney and everything. It's great. It works
Right.
fantastically on that level. The the meta humor in it is great. I'm sorry. I know it's all over the internet, but I don't care. Idris Elba doing the whole this is not some fairy tale where you can just sing a song and all your problems go away. So
Right.
let it go. I was like
Right.
I don't care. I know it's corny. I know it's hammy. I know they stuck it in there just because. It was perfect. I loved it. It was one of
Right.
my favorite movie moments of the year.
And the message was good. It
Yes.
was. I think it was so important that it came out this year.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, racism is bad, and I think the movie did a great job of just putting it out there for kids. Like I think if anyone gets that, kids get it the most.
Yeah, because
Um,
it was done in such a clever way.
yeah.
It wasn't simply because the interesting thing was the whole idea of it wasn't really something that you saw.
Right.
Predators didn't necessarily have, you could obviously tell which ones were which, but it was about what was inherent. And that
hmm
was the idea. It was like, oh, you can't hate them because they're different and so on. It was really cleverly done that way.
Right.
And the way they spun all of that around at the end there was
Mhm.
ridiculously clever.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Great film. Highly recommended. One of my favorites this year. One that I didn't see here on the list. I don't know if you ever saw it. Did you ever see the Kaboo and the Two Strings?
I did not. No.
Oh, okay. Definitely check that out. So put that in for homework. Really, really good. Really good film. Um, it's basically The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
it's getting like it got a ton of praise when it came out, and it's getting a lot of award buzz. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's really well done. Yeah, I heard about it. I think on the kind of funny we're talking about it, and I was like, oh, I saw something for it, but I never actually. And then yeah, it's good.
nice.
Actually, do we have enough time? No, I think we got to take a quick break.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, we're kind of coming up on it there.
yeah. We'll be right back. We'll get into some more movies, TVs, and video games, books, comics, and wrestling. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. We'll see you guys all in a minute.
Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And before we headed to break, you were gonna jump in with something. What'd you have?
Um, was I? No, I think I was just
Oh,
gonna. Was I just talking about the two strings?
yeah.
Well, no, I don't want to. Well, see, that's the thing. I don't want to. Yeah, just go see it. It will be. It's not really officially on the list, but man, dude, it was good. Surprised the hell out of me. I saw it on the Kind of Funny podcast. I think they were talking about it.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing just trailers and whatnot for it, but it's weird. It's really weird, and
Okay.
it takes a few minutes. It takes a little bit to get into it, but once you get into it, like I said, it reminds me of a video game movie where you have boss battles and stuff like that. But you go see it. It's really good. So we'll leave
Nice.
it at that.
Yeah, and it's out on digital and everything by now. I think I
Yes.
saw not too long ago.
Yeah, it's out on everything. So
Nice. Yeah,
go check it out.
definitely look into that. Yeah, another one animated that's not on the list. I didn't put it on because I hadn't seen it yet. Was Moana, and I
Oh
and I
yeah,
I'm
I want to see that.
I'm bummed about that I haven't seen that yet. Like, I'm super bummed.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just because
That's
I want to
definitely.
hear The Rock sing. Oh, really like that.
Yeah,
I want to hear that.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
but
What's this next film I did not see?
oh, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. It was Margot Robbie and Tina Fey. It was the one where they were journalists in Afghanistan, Iraq or Afghanistan. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
But it was fascinating because you watch the trailer and you're like, oh, it's this quirky little comedy and everything, and then you watch it and you're like, no, it's really a interesting look at how you kind of have to go crazy when you're in a crazy place in order to not go crazy.
Mm.
It was fascinating because it was funny. There was comedy to it, but it was more deep than anything. Of like, hey, this is what you have to do to cope with something like this, with living in a war zone and putting yourself out there all the time
Mm.
from a perspective other than a soldier's. And that
Mm.
was what was fascinating to me because we usually, when we get war movies, it's from a soldier's perspective.
Right.
But to see it from the ideas through the eyes of the journalists there, and not, this isn't emblematic of all embedded journalists and everything,
Right.
but it was the idea of no, this is, there's some truth to this,
Right.
and it's fascinating. It really was different, for sure.
All right, that's going on my list.
It was earlier this year, and I was like, okay, cool, whatever, I'll take a look at this, and then it kind of starts as a fish out of water story, and then once it hits, man,
Mhm.
it's intense. It's intense.
Cool, man. Yep, that's on my list. I will check that out for sure.
There you
Um,
go.
what else do we got here? I see that. Oh yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, this was. Oh my god, this was creepy.
Yeah,
Holy cow! Like
this
this.
was this is one of my favorite movies this year. I think for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
yeah. No argument there, man.
yeah.
Just John Goodman as. Oh man, super creepy. Super creepy. Oh my god. Like.
Yeah. I love his performance in this.
Yeah.
The way this movie came about was so cool that J.J. Abrams leaked it, and I'm doing air quotes, leaked it out, and then he showed it somewhere. I forgot where he showed it,
It was before.
but
What was it? The. Oh.
Comic-Con or something like that, right?
No, it was. Because the trailer leaked before a movie. It aired before, like the first trailer for it was the first we heard about it, and it was in front of, what was it, 13 hours of Benghazi, I think.
Yeah, it was something like that, and they leaked it online as if like someone got a hold of
Right.
And then of course all the news came out that they shot the J.J. Abrams and this cast and just light crew shot this in a few days in a bunker somewhere, and in complete secrecy, and it didn't leak out. That's the thing. Like, we know about Cloverfield 3, it's already leaked and everything, so the studio's already like, oh, the cat's out of the bag. But that is so cool. And we had two things like that this year. We had the Blair Witch Project, and we had this where it was this like secret um, thing. And I think it worked well for 10 Cloverfield Lane. I think, you know, for such a low budget, it made a lot of money.
Yeah, well, and I mean, look at the pedigree it had, and look at, there had been talk of a Cloverfield 2 forever, and it
Yeah.
was unlike Avatar 2, it was something that people were really interested in.
Right, right.
And,
Yeah.
sorry, James, I love you, but, it's
What
time.
was so different?
Yeah, it was not like, oh, and now more people are running from the monster. It was like, oh, this is different.
What was cool was, it was like, okay, well, the name, it's the name of the street, and so does it take place in the same universe? Does it not? Are they just going to do a bunch of movies with the name Cloverfield in it, and that you question if they all relate? But no, it looks like it full on relates to the events of the first one. I think the new one takes place in like space.
Yeah, the what we know so far about the third one is that these people are on a space station and then Earth disappears.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing, and I'm like, okay, well yeah,
Oh, wow.
that would be challenging. Uh,
Right,
it's like,
exactly. Oh, okay. So maybe like we went into a different dimension, and that's why all the things are happening. No,
yeah,
that's cool. That's weird and awesome and different. But back to what we're talking about. I loved that it was just such a different film from the first one. It wasn't the shaky footage camera. It felt like that was a sign of that time, and this was just this weird, smaller, low budget, all in one, space shot film. It almost felt like an indie film in some ways.
yeah,
Um, and it was just so cool, and like you said, the talent behind it, and it was the whole movie. You felt like you had a gun to your head, and literally that's what was happening in the film. There was so much tension, and you were stressed out, and you John Goodman just plays the best fucking crazy dad that you've ever met. You know what I mean? Like, he feels he was like, oh, I probably know that guy back where my cousin lives, out in the country.
yeah,
He reminds me of their neighbor. You know what I mean? Like, everyone knows that somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, that's how that guy feels. Like, he's that crazy. Is he crazy enough to do something like that? And this dude is crazy in
yeah,
in the
and
movie.
the twist at the end I did not see coming. I
Yeah,
really
me
didn't,
either.
because of how they set up the rest of the world, and
Mhm.
then it gets to the end and you're like, okay,
Yeah, the last like 20 minutes is just not. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's less than that, but the
yeah,
last it turns into a different film at one point. It goes off the rails, and I
yeah.
fucking loved it. Um, yeah, I really liked it. Really liked it. Um, let's get into the next one that came out, which was
Cap
just
Civil War. Yeah,
yeah,
to
Captain
go
America:
from
Civil War.
talk about going from one extreme to the other.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, this was probably my favorite out of the Captain America movies. I know everyone loves Winter Soldier more, but this one with that that airport fight with Spider-Man, and it was just Black Panther. It was just so much fun. I keep going back to that scene where Spider-Man is wrapping Ant-Man's legs and he makes the Empire Strikes Back joke, and
Hey
like
guys,
that's
have you
when I
seen that
really
really old movie, The Empire Strikes Back? Oh, I
yeah,
wanted to just punch him.
that's when I smiled the most in that film, and like that's what it's all about. It's like,
Yeah,
because that's what happens in the comics. Spider-Man makes a a reference, some pop culture reference, and they're laughing and talking at the same time as like some major shit is going down, and it was the most comic book scene that we've ever seen in a movie.
yeah, and that bodes well. That was a great omen for Spider-Man: Homecoming, to say like
Yeah.
this is what Spider-Man's going to be like, and you're like, oh my god, they've got him.
Yeah.
They had him with Andrew Garfield. His Spider-Man was great. And
Yeah.
I'm bummed. I'm still bummed that we don't get more of him because I really did love him.
Hmm.
But what they're doing looks like, we know, but we kind of had to do what we had to do. But
Right.
don't worry, we got this.
Yeah. Yeah, and they do. They absolutely do. I love what they set up. It's they all these. We've been following this for how many years now since Iron Man and Hulk and whatnot,
It was what,
and
2008, right?
yeah, it's been a while. And now they're doing what they do in the comics. They fight each other, and now they're kind of we leave them at them, you know, um, having to there's a whole new, you know the actual universe is changed now fundamentally where people's alliances are and everything else, so much so this felt like the third Avengers film, um where to me this had a bigger impact than Avengers 2 did.
Yeah.
um and so it's going to be interesting seeing where we go from now, where we go from here, and where the next few films are going to be. Even like Spider-Man, I don't Spider well, yeah, I guess obviously Spider-Man takes place after Captain America. But yeah, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be interesting seeing where they go. So,
Yeah, it's apparently not too long after Civil War either.
oh, okay, that makes sense.
Because
That makes sense.
because in the trailer, Tony's still got his black eye.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So they were talking like, wow, is this what, like a week later? Like, this is
Right,
crazy.
right. Yeah, that's weird. But yeah, man, I don't know. Now this next one I didn't see. You did see.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I saw Now You See Me too. And it wasn't, the first Now You See Me was kind of a surprise hit.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think anybody expected that to be something where everybody went, wow, that was really cool.
Hmm.
Obviously the studio was hoping for it. Everybody involved wants that. But
Yeah.
I don't think audiences were looking at this like, oh yeah, this is going to do really well. They were like, well, that's kind of interesting. We'll go see that, and it took off huge. And
Right.
the second one was different. It was a different story. It was a more, I don't want to say it was a deeper story because it makes the first one seem shallow, but the first one was fairly shallow.
Right.
But
Right.
I enjoyed it. I understand the criticisms leveled at it and everything, but I really liked it, and I like movies about magic, so I'm good there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's on my list. Definitely want to check it out. I liked the first one.
Yeah. Then you'll like the second one. There'll be you might get frustrated a time or two, but you'll
Yeah.
you'll 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 like it overall.
Yeah. I definitely want to check it out. Um, we got Conjuring 2.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. I did
Yes.
because the Conjuring as a quote unquote series is basically just long episodes. Like
Hmm.
you can't have, like, they don't follow really a traditional ish kind of structure. Every every movie is going to be about a separate incident, which is its own self-contained story.
Hmm.
So, and I liked it, and I enjoyed this. It was properly creepy. They were a little heavier on the jump scares this time, but
Right.
it was,
Well, I think they always the best compliment I could give The Conjuring 2 was I thought it was just as good as the first one, which is
there you go.
almost nearly impossible to do for these type of films.
Yeah, yeah,
To
very
keep to
true.
keep it as oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, very true. I was saying very true.
Yeah, just to keep it as interesting and as scary and as just, I don't know, cinematic's not the right word, but just to keep it as just interesting as the first one is so hard with these kind of films to kind of chip away at this lore that we've built with this family. um and I got a better understanding of this couple by the end of it and their relationship, and man, did I absolutely love it. I don't know if they're going to do a third one or whatnot. I'm sure they will because it's Hollywood,
Yeah,
but I really love what they're doing. I really love what they're doing with that series. It was just so good.
yeah. They are doing an Annabelle too for some reason. So there's that.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. Well, I thought they were going to do like The Nun.
Yeah, there was talk about that, and then I don't know. The one they've announced is Annabelle 2. So if
Okay.
that's actually going to still be about Annabelle, or if that's just going to be like the heading they use for it, or what.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah. We got Central Intelligence.
Did you ever go see it?
Yes. Well,
Yes.
I think we saw it on TV. We rented it from Bright House or whatnot.
Nice. What did you think?
I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
love
thought they were great together.
it was like those two had like Kevin and Rock had just really great chemistry. Like it worked.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's why we're getting them in Jumanji, you know.
Yeah.
They're both real funny. They both work well off of each other. Yeah, I thought it was just, you know, this could be one of those comedy duos that we see moving forward, where we see them kind of teamed up with each other.
Yeah, I'd be all right with that. I
Yeah, yeah,
heard
absolutely.
I heard an interesting criticism of Kevin Hart, a good criticism, a compliment. From there was a live show that Script Notes did not that long ago,
Hmm.
and somebody said something that was really interesting. It made me think, and I went back and I actually watched this again, and it's true that Kevin has this great ability to make scripted lines seem like improv lines. And that, like, I had to sit with that for a second because
Hmm.
I tried to think about what that meant. And I think the idea behind it that I took away from it was the idea that it makes these things seem natural. Instead of being
Yeah.
like, oh, these words were written out to go in this segment, it's the idea that, oh no, they feel like they're supposed to be here. Like they're the
Right.
proper response. Like, oh, what's the first thing you would think in this scenario?
Hmm.
And that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And I went back and I watched this again and watching his reactions, and I was like, oh yeah, yeah, no, I totally get that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I completely agree. Yeah. His delivery is just so good
Yeah,
in the film. Um, Warcraft. Now, this is one that we both liked, but seems like a lot of critics shunned.
yeah. I think you and I are on the opposite side of a lot of people from this one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think a lot of the critics didn't play the game, and you didn't either though. So it I loved it. I thought it, it had a lot of problems, of course, but at the same I mean, what movie doesn't? But at the same time, I thought it was enjoyable enough to where if you're into that kind of thing, you're gonna enjoy it. But if you're not into high fantasy, you're not gonna like this film. You're gonna just actively not like it.
Yeah,
But if you're into high fantasy, which we are, it was dude. And as someone who's a fan of the series, I was just in love. I was just poring over all the little details that they left in there for me.
yeah.
Um, yeah, man,
No,
I just thought it was really
yeah.
well done.
As somebody who I've barely ever touched World of Warcraft, and that's really my only experience with
Hmm.
the game side of the franchise. Like I my worry with something like this was I was going to get lost in the terminology. Like
Right,
what
right.
happens if you really dive into Tolkien, that's what happens. You can't keep the names into places and all this. I didn't have that problem.
Yeah.
Did not have that problem.
Yeah, no, yeah. So if you haven't seen it, listeners, definitely go out and rent it. It's really well done. Definitely worth Redbox for sure. But I think we gotta take a quick break. When we
Yep.
get back, we'll get more into movies. Man, we gotta hit the hyperdrive here. But
Yeah.
you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we'll see you guys all in a minute.
Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And yeah, we gotta kick through the end of movies here because we got a lot more we gotta get to.
Oh yeah,
Um, Finding Dory. How did you find Dory?
never saw it.
Oh, you didn't see it? Oh, it was so good.
Yeah,
It was so good. It was a great follow up. There was a little fall off. You know, it's a
yeah,
sequel to a Pixar movie, so there's, you know, maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not, but I enjoyed it. I really did overall.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was
I gotta check it out. I just
yeah.
never got around to it for some reason.
Yeah, you should. I think you'll like it. Did you like Finding Nemo?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, then you'll like Finding Dory. It's good. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, just never got around to it this year for some reason. But I will. It's on Blu-ray now, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's been out for a while.
Okay. All right, I'll rent it for
There you
sure.
go. Sounds like a plan. And
Yep, yep.
and then we got Doctor Strange. God, I love this movie. This. I was really excited for this. We talked about how much I love movies with magic, and
Mhm.
I was so excited for this, and I had to keep with everything that kept coming up, and I had to keep waiting. I was going crazy.
Mhm.
It was making me nuts, but definitely
Yeah.
worth the wait for sure.
Oh yeah, it's a good film. I think you might have liked it more than I did. Um, uh, I don't know why it didn't like it wasn't on the same level as Civil War or something like that. But at the same time, it's one of the best origin films I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh, it's a tremendous origin story. It
Right.
really is.
Yeah. And I can't it can't I think my biggest problem with it is I want to see him interact with other Marvel heroes.
Yeah.
And I know that wasn't going to happen in this film, but I'm stupid. For whatever reason, that was when I walked away. I was like, I just want to see him with other characters. I want to see him interact and just intertwine. And I think it's entirely my problem because we've been spoiled with that so much over the last few years, where we've seen all these characters interact with each other, and that's what I can't wait for with Doctor Strange. I think that's where he's just going to be at his best when, he's just this like, oh shit, and look what, earlier where they're like, and we have a Hulk. I think I think he's going to be just like that. Doctor Strange is going to be someone who can just like, oh, and there you go, you disappeared, and oh, okay, there you go, you're gone. That sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
he's going to be someone not to fuck with
Yeah.
for Marvel heroes. So
And I think a lot of that comes from the comics too. Strange
yeah,
hasn't really had his own solid established comic for a while now. I mean, I know he's got the one recently, but before then he was always it was really more or less like him and the Secret Avengers kind of deal, him with the Illuminati
exactly.
and all that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and a lot of what they did in this movie, I felt like they did take from this series just a little bit, because the new series is very well established, Doctor Strange. So I saw little similarities in it though.
Nice.
Um, yeah, so yeah, absolutely. Go see Doctor Strange if you haven't seen it already. I don't think it's on Blu-ray just yet, but it should be not too much. Beginning of the year, it should be out on Blu-ray. So
Yeah, next couple months for sure.
yeah.
Um,
Um, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. What'd you think of it?
I love this movie. I
Yeah,
did. I make no bones about this. This is for somebody who was worried about like, okay, how do we take the guy who wrote the Care of Magical Creatures textbook and make a movie about him. I like that they were like, no, he had a life. He didn't really just do that. And
right.
I have no problem with that. They were like, oh, okay, he was part of this and this happened, and I loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed the film, no
Yeah,
question.
it was really funny, and we're getting this, I miss the whimsicalness of Harry Potter. I, in such a weird way, want to go back to following kids and stuff like that. It's weird because watching Harry Potter, you're like, it'd be really cool to see a more adult type thing in this universe. But now that we're getting older characters. Man, do I want to see some of the whimsicalness of Hogwarts and stuff like that, which I'm sure in the next few films we'll get the American version of Hogwarts and stuff like that. What's the school called? I'm sure you know it.
Ilvermorny.
There you go. Like
Yeah.
I can't wait to get into that kind of stuff.
Isn't it
And
interesting that watching this younger, and you're like, I want to see what the grown-ups do, and now you're watching it older, and you're like, no, I want to go back. I want to go back.
yeah, that's how. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I loved the film. Don't get me wrong, but I remember leaving it and going, it didn't have as much like whimsical charm that it had brief moments that reminded me of it, especially when they mentioned Hogwarts, and like he was like, oh no, that's not the best school,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Like, oh, it brought me back just a little bit. I hope they dive more into that in the next few movies, which I'm sure we're gonna get, what, like three more or six more, eight more. I don't know.
We're gonna get five total.
Right. So yeah, we're gonna get 4 more. So I'm sure they'll have enough time to do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and Eddie Redmayne was a great choice for what they were going for. And having read, I love that they published the script. I love that they published the screenplay. I wish they would do that with more films because I've really gotten into reading these and to
Yeah.
see to compare. Like here was what they wrote, here was what was filmed, and publishing. I don't need every draft. I don't need a first draft, a green draft, and then the final draft. Give me the shooting script and the first draft. Sure, why not? Because like with
Right.
Groundhog Day, it was wildly different in
Oh,
in
really?
in a couple different aspects. Well, not crazy different, but the they took out the part from the original script where basically he was cursed, and we actually got
Oh.
to see that. Uh, so it's like, okay, this has an explanation now, but
Right. Right.
that kind of changes a lot of the film when you look at it through that lens. But actually reading the script and being able to see the movie and compare, and you're like, oh yeah, I can see that in this character. And Eddie was a great choice. He really was.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And to round out all the movies, probably my favorite movie of the year, just because I am biased as all can get out. Rogue One. Um,
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue on that point. And
yeah,
it was tremendous. It was.
yeah. We still need to do a bonus episode about it at some point in the next week or so. But, dude, yeah, I didn't, going up to episode 7, I was in full blown Star Wars mode. I was not the same with Rogue One. Because I didn't know what to expect. It didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't have the same it just didn't have the same feeling I did going into 7. Um, but man, did I have the same feeling coming out of it though. And what they gave us some of my favorite characters in the whole universe. They took, I don't want to get into spoilers here, but they took some of them away. And you really they did things in this film that um they haven't done in any of the Star Wars films that I never thought they would do. And it was all, dude, I can't think of a better way to tell the opening crawl of A New Hope than what they did with Rogue One.
That's
Um,
that is the absolute best description of that movie I've ever heard.
Right, exactly. And, like any other film, it has its flaws. I've seen it a few times now, and I enjoyed it even more the second time. The first time I saw it in 3D. The second time I was able to actually sit back and relax and just take in the scenery and take everything in. I think I prefer the Star Wars films not in 3D, um, uh, because of how I watch it. I
Fair
like to
enough.
pore over all the scenes. I like to look at every little inch of the screen. And it's just, I think it's more enjoyable as like, and real fast. If there's a Dolby theater near you, at our local AMC, they have an IMAX theater in it now, and they have a Dolby theater in it now. And what the Dolby theater is it is the same screen size as the IMAX. The seats are all recliners, so they're much bigger leather recliners that electric. They go back and they recline. All over the theater are these huge, gigantic speakers that wrap all the way
Oh,
around.
it's the Atmos system. Oh, that's right. You guys have to.
Yeah,
That system is amazing.
and your seats vibrate.
Yeah,
Like
it's crazy.
like whenever some big shit's going down, it's like and your seats just vibrating, and I'm like, holy fuck! And they're doing like the test things in the beginning, and I didn't expect that,
Yeah,
and I was like, oh fuck, this is fucking awesome. So I saw Rogue One like that, and and I love that now you can pick your seats ahead of time in that theater. So and it's cheaper than IMAX 3D. It's not as cheap as, like, I went in the morning before noon. You can get tickets for like 650, but for this it was $10. So I didn't mind. So
worth it.
but yeah, dude, it's totally worth to see the big blockbusters in that. And I like it because it's the big theater with the good sound, and it's not 3D, and that's the sweet spot for me.
Yeah.
Um,
That Atmos system is amazing.
Yes, yes. So yeah, you're the sound guy. You know all about that. I don't know anything about it. I was blown away with how good it sounded,
Yeah.
and it was cool because when it vibrated, like when the scenes where just shit's going down and things are exploding, and you're like, you feel like you're there because the way the seats are doing the motion or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
because the Atmos system isn't the traditional 7-1. It's not, one in the front, front right, mids, back left and right, and then the sub. It's an array. It's just
right.
fantastic. Oh my god. I want to go. I never went when I was down there, and I hate that, but I've got to go to that because it's at Disney, right?
No, no, this is at Altamont.
This is at Altamont, really?
This is at Altamont.
Then
Yeah, now
they've
maybe they've had it at Disney for a while,
Yeah,
but
that was where that was the one that was there. They must have just added that.
yes, they did. So yeah, when you go in, the two big theaters, one's for IMAX 3D, one is for the Dolby, and I can't recommend the Dolby enough. It is phenomenal, absolutely
Nice.
phenomenal, and
Yeah,
it was great for
fantastic.
Rogue One.
Well, yeah, but
Just yeah, because you felt it, and so from now on, the big movies like that, that's what I'm going to be going to see it in.
oh yeah.
Um, yeah,
Oh yeah.
so that was really cool. But yeah, man,
Yeah. I
you
don't
know,
care what TJ Perkins says. I love this movie.
yeah, yeah, dude, that kid. He's either
Like,
turning heel. I don't know. I hope he's just fucking with people because fuck, man, that just made me.
yeah, I don't think so. I really don't. Like
Yeah,
because the
he just
way that those tweets are worded, like it's like no, he really thinks that the prequels are the best, and I
he's
just
welcome to think that, but now I'm welcome to not cheer for him ever again. Lost all nerd cred for me.
right. Like I hope I don't know what happened on 205 Live. I hope Neville beat Rich Swann, and
Yeah,
then Perkins tries for it, and Neville just annihilates him.
yeah,
Sorry, TJ,
right,
but it's the way the ball bounces.
right. I hope Neville gets the title. He deserves it.
No, yeah, man, the impact he made when he came back, just it's
Yep.
perfect. He belonged in the cruiserweight division from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. I met him a few weeks ago, the WrestleMania event.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was really cool. Him and Carmella. I thought I showed
Oh
you the
yeah, yeah,
picture.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You did. Yeah, you posted that.
Yeah, he told me why they called it the Red Arrow and whatnot.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. So,
nice.
all right. Well, let's get into some TV stuff.
Yeah, and I think the biggest TV anything this year has to be Westworld.
It absolutely has to be Westworld. That show is just the best new thing on television. I put it right up there with Game of Thrones. Um, for the acting, the story, the fact that it's just getting me right. No other show has gotten me as close to Lost as Westworld has. It's got its hooks in me, man. It really does. I can't wait for another season. We got what? It's not going to be next year, unfortunately, but 2018 is likely when we'll see it. But
Yeah.
man, that first season, I honestly put that up there with the first season of Lost. With if you could buy someone a first season of any show to get them into something, I'd buy them Lost and I'd buy them Westworld if I
Nice.
knew they like sci-fi and stuff.
There you go.
Yeah,
But just
yeah, man.
yeah, just phenomenally well crafted from start to finish, and the way little drag here and there, but considering the scope of what they were going for, a couple minor hiccups, totally worth it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Some of the best storytelling in television, I think. Just haven't seen that in a while.
No.
Um. Yeah. Absolutely. Now some of these other shows, I don't think you've watched. Have you watched any of Arrow or Flash?
I've watched some Flash. I've fallen off of. I'm still. I think I'm still on last season of Arrow, but I'm like
Oh
two. I'm
wow.
like two. I'm like two back. Like I'm almost up to the end of it.
Okay.
But yeah, I've heard that the DZ stuff has just been killing it this season. Like I
It
have
really
seen
has.
some of the Flash, but I hadn't seen, and I loved what I saw.
Yeah, Legends have been amazing as well. Yeah, definitely catch up. I'm sure once it's all said and done, you'll have enough time to catch up on the seasons. But man, it is especially that whole invasion arc that took all the shows together. Even with Supergirl, it was phenomenal. It was really good stuff. Um, yeah. There's another one I didn't see here on the list. Have you seen yet? Stranger Things?
Oh yeah, I didn't put that on there, did I? No, damn.
Oh yeah, Stranger Things is the other show besides Westworld for new shows that there's been three new shows this season or this year that I fell in love with, and Stranger Things was one of them. Holy shit. That came out of left field and it
Totally.
just grabbed everyone our age. My friends who just don't watch television gave that a shot, and they're just like, "Fuck, that takes me back to my childhood, where you could ride around on a bicycle and like make up stories with your friends and stuff, and like this actually, it's a cool story. Um,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, that was the point. It was supposed to be like It meets E.T.
yeah,
and they
yeah,
and they nailed
exactly.
it. It was perfect.
Oh yeah, and it just like I said, a lot of my friends we are we're really early adapters when it comes to like Netflix and stuff like that. We've been on that train for a while now.
Oh yeah,
But I think Stranger Things cemented a lot of people where they're like, we will try weird things now because we trust Netflix. I have friends that are watching the OA, which I still haven't seen yet, and I'm like, a few years ago, you would have laughed at me if I said to watch Battlestar Galactica, and here you are watching like straight sci-fi stuff. So that's cool. You know what I mean? Like to get everybody on board with what they're doing is just fantastic.
absolutely.
Um, we probably don't. Yeah, we probably don't have much time to get into too much else before the break. But man, Stranger Things! I can't wait for season two. And the kids have kind of taken over. Like everyone's in love with the kids. They're
Oh yeah.
everywhere.
Well, I mean, they were the stars of the show, and that
Yes,
was
yeah,
and that was the
absolutely.
point. That was the whole thing of that '80s aesthetic. Was like, no, these stories are about the kids.
And from what I hear, a lot of like old Goonie, apparently season two is going to be chock full of cameos from movies like The Goonies and E.T. and stuff like that, which I think is kind of
Excellent,
cool.
excellent. That's
Oh
exactly
yeah.
what it needs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we're definitely gonna need to take a quick break. We got more TV, video games, books, comics, and wrestling when we come back. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we'll see you all in a minute.
Welcome back to a We Geek podcast on the N.FM. And yeah, so we gotta kick through these a little more here. But what
Yeah.
else?
So okay. So let's talk about Walking Dead real fast. Phenomenal first part of the season. I'm absolutely loving this season. Who's the actor that plays Negan?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who is
Yes.
just crushing it. Oh my god, I am still, quick warning, I am still a couple back,
Okay.
but
Okay.
you can still say like he's just absolutely owned that role, no
He
question.
steals every scene where it gets to the point where I hated him in the comic, and maybe I shouldn't like him as much in the show, but I can't wait to see what he does next on the show. Every scene I'm like, yes, because he's such a loose cannon. At the same time though, he's crazy as shit, but he has a code.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And you'll see because you still haven't seen all the way up. He has a code where it's like he even does things where it's like you know you it's weird who he it's and this isn't really a spoiler. It's weird that he knows Rick is such a threat, but he also respects the shit out of him, and he knows that he needs Rick on board, or all of it's going to fall apart. Might
yeah,
as well kill them all. But if he gets Rick on board, if he gets Rick underneath his boot, then they all fall in line. So there's a ton of respect that he has. It's such a weird, and he's hilarious. That also
yeah,
helps. And so me and my buddies over the weekend were doing just no, doing impressions. Not my buddies. What am I talking about? It's my family. My brother. We were doing like Negan impressions. Just like how he raises his voice all of a sudden. So I
yeah,
don't know. It was fun, but yeah, Walking Dead, fantastic.
yeah,
X-Files.
yeah. Remember that happened this year,
Yes.
and it
Uh,
was fun. It was
oh,
for a very limited run. I think that was perfect.
I think it was fantastic. Especially that lizard episode.
Mm-hmm.
By far and away, one of the best things I've ever seen in television.
Yeah, yeah. That was a great spin on like a classic X-Files kind of episode.
Yes,
It was
yes,
it
it
was
was.
phenomenal. It really was.
Oh yeah, I've loved it. It was Murder and Scully meet the Were Monster, and it was just, oh my God, was it great? I was in love with every part of that episode.
Best twist I've seen in a while.
Yes,
I loved it.
yes,
Absolutely
and
loved it.
oh yeah, oh yeah. All right, and Gilmore Girls. Let's talk about Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, a year in the life. Like that was the follow up that we wanted. No question. And not just did they manage to pack in as many Easter eggs and references and callbacks, while some of them you were like, yeah, you kind of stuck this in here because you wanted to, and because we wanted you to, but we don't really care because we liked it. Uh, but
Right.
but a great story. For 4 90-minute episodes, it really, really told that story well.
Did
And
it leave a cliffhanger at all? Did it leave you wanting more?
oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
What?
I'll be honest. I've watched 2 or 3 episodes of the series.
Yeah,
Surprised me when I saw Chad Michael Murray, but I guess that's where he came from.
yeah. A lot of them came from there.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't see. I don't. I wish it was I could jump into just the this part of it, but I guess you got to
Yeah,
watch at least most of it.
yeah. You
Um,
you do because it is one that builds off of, like, it continues to build off of everything that comes before it.
Yeah, it just it's not aging well, I think. And I mean, I imagine I'd have the same issues if I went back and watched One Tree Hill, and the OC and stuff like that.
It was
It's
it.
the way they talk. The way they
Yeah.
talk just doesn't sound like normal people talking.
Well, and that's a little quirk of Amy Sherman Palladino's writing. Is that
Right,
it's
right.
just this is just what these characters do.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I imagine people have the same complaints about Kevin Smith because they just
Yeah.
it's like they do talk like what you and your friends talk about, but it's the way they deliver it
Yeah.
is just a little quirky. But yep, so I mean, I think that wraps it up for TV shows. I don't think there's anything else that stood out. You know, Luke Cage was cool, but it
Game of
didn't blow me
Thrones.
away.
Game of Thrones was awesome
Oh
this
yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah. What am I talking about? Game of Thrones had arguably one of its best seasons.
if
I
if
thought.
if not the best.
Yes.
That's definitely an argument to be made there.
Yeah. The whole battle of the bastards was just arguably the best episode of television I think I've ever seen. There's been so many years of build up for this.
Yeah.
It's just there. We've been waiting for that episode for what 7 years now, or how many seasons?
Six. I think it's six,
6,
wasn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
The build up for that has been so long and so overdue, and it was finally, spoiler alerts, finally it was good to see us get a win. In this world where it just seems every episode, and there was a lot of losses in that episode too, but it was nice to see a win. And this whole season just started to the pieces started to fall into place. It seemed like
Yeah.
where we're starting to see the third act, I think, of this whole show. And I think that's what the beginning of that episode was the beginning of the third act and the final act. Because I think we only have like 2 seasons left, right?
Yeah. Basically, one whole season that they split in half, pretty much.
Exactly. So we're now going to see kind of what we've been wanting to see since the beginning. We're seeing her go to Westeros. We're going to see that war. We're going to see the Song of Ice and Fire, if you will.
Yeah.
Have you seen the teaser poster?
I have.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited.
The guys on the Dragon of Ice that just
Hmm.
looks so sick.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. So, that's gonna be cool. That's gonna be really cool. But yeah. So can't wait for the next season of Game of Thrones. Let's I guess gravitate into video games.
Yeah. I mean, this was the big thing this year was PlayStation VR.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it's a hit and a miss. I love it. I still play it to this day. Star Wars, the VR is worth it for me alone. I can't recommend. Thing is, I can't recommend it though. Because I don't think I've gotten enough out of it for the price of it. Apparently, it's like super hard to find.
Really?
Apparently, it's like sold out everywhere.
Huh.
Um,
Let me ask this, because we saw what happened with the Kinect, where we were like, here's this really cool thing, and then they bundled it with stuff, and then the second year it fell off. Do
I,
you
you know,
do you see the VR doing that, or do you see this? Because obviously this is not going to be in the near future the way to play games. It's not.
no,
But
no, no. It's always going to be if you have the funds, here is a cool way to play video games.
right,
So it feels like an expensive, like, I don't know, like it's kind of like going to the club and you got VIP. You're paying a shitload of money. Do you need it? Absolutely not. But it's a fun experience.
so do
Uh,
you see this being like the Kinect or the Move, where it just kind of falls off, or do you?
that's hard to say because
Yeah,
I see VR not just in video games, but I see it having implements. I see it being implemented in a lot of other things, uh, like movies, for example. And not to get too X-rated here, but the porn industry. You can watch adult movies on your PlayStation VR. All you got to do is put them on a hard drive or flash drive and pop it right into your PlayStation's USB port and go watch the viewer. Like it has more implications than just video games.
and that's
So,
yeah. That was my next question. Is where do you see it going outside of that?
well, I see it becoming more mainstream with that kind of stuff once it becomes easier for people to do. Um, full disclosure, it took me 2 seconds to figure out how to do that. But, most people aren't like me or you where they're kind of like, oh, we can just look online and figure it out. Most people would give up and go, well, I'll just know, I don't know how to do that, kind of thing. So,
Yeah,
but it's just in a few years, I can see this being once it drops in price and once there are some more games for it, I could see this really being something that people would want to buy. Right now, I don't know if I could recommend buying it because it is a lot of money. Even though this is the I don't want to say cheapest, but you're getting a value for what you're getting with this PlayStation headset. It is the least expensive of them all, but at the same time it's still really expensive. It's the same price of going out and buying an Xbox
yeah.
or another system. You could buy like two 3DSs for the price of this. So I don't know. It all depends, honestly, if you have the means and what you experience it. Um, it is some of the best experiences I've ever had playing video games. It honestly felt like this is the future. When you put it on and you're playing the heist or you're playing Battlezone or something like that, when you're in it, you're like, holy shit, I have a Universal Studios experience in my living room or in your bedroom.
Nice.
And you can't get that with playing another video game system. Um, but then again, like I said, it all depends on if it's worth it for the money for you. And I don't know if I can recommend it. Because there's a lot. Thinking back, I'm like, I could spend that on a lot of other things. Next year will be the telling, because we have Resident Evil coming out, which will be the first big game for it, I think.
Yeah.
And we got Star Trek coming out, which should be really cool. But what's after that? I don't know any games that are coming out after that, and that's the
Ace
problem.
Ace Combat should be fun.
Ace Combat, okay, yeah. So there's one. And don't get me wrong. There's a ton of stuff out on it, but you know,
There's no killer app for it yet,
there's
basically.
no killer app for it yet. I think 2017 will be kind of the deciding factor. I think this will be the only VRs that's released for the PlayStation 4. So that's why I'm saying I think in a few years when it drops in price and there's a library of games, that's when I would recommend it. It's like anything else. When you're right out the door, this could be the Vita,
Right. Yeah.
or it
Well,
could be the 3DS. It's really hard to tell. It all really just it depends on how much Sony, um, how much money they put into it, and they've I mean it has the most games, the most playable games, I think, than for all of them. All of the, I can't imagine spending. $1,000 on this to get it for the PC.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. That is crazy, person. You have like, you must be like a YouTuber to kind of do that where you're doing it for an audience. But for just fun, it's worth it if you have the funds. But that's all I can say about it. I've gone too much on about it, but let's move on. What about Naruto?
Yeah, this, Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 was the perfect way to end the series, not just for like an anime or a manga fan standpoint, but for a fan of the games. The gameplay was tremendous. It was this was the cherry on top of the cake for this
Yeah,
franchise. It really was.
yeah, cool, man. Yeah, no, I just never got the Naruto series. We've talked about it before.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I need
fair.
to, yeah, I need to watch it. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End.
We keep going on about ways to end a series. Like, just how do you do it better than this?
Yeah,
As it was the best of everything that made the Uncharted series great.
yep, yeah, it was the best Swan song. It was really long too, but it never felt like it overstayed its welcome. Um, and it was fun. It was platforming. It was. I think they took a lot of the criticisms of the other ones where there was like, you're killing everyone. You still kill a lot of people, but there's a lot less of that.
Yeah, and
There's a lot
there's
more of the
yeah,
story.
you can tell this is Nathan Drake being like, I don't want to do this anymore. Why do I have
Right,
to
yeah.
keep doing this?
The locations and, some of the Easter eggs and surprises, the couch scene, stuff like
That
that.
oh
Like,
come on, that's worth the price of admission by itself.
right, exactly. They really thought outside of the box when it came to this,
Yeah,
and they were just like, how can we make this? It's just a love letter to the Uncharted series, and I couldn't give it more praise. One
here,
of my
here.
favorite this year by far. Another one that just blew me out of the water was Doom.
Yeah, talk about a love letter to a franchise.
Yes. If you, we've talked about it before, but go check out No Clip on YouTube. They do documentaries. The first month, November, was all about Rocket League, and December was all about Doom, and specifically this Doom and how it came about, and the struggles and everything that went along with it. And it's phenomenal. The game is just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
Like everything from the soundtrack to the level design to them going. And what's cool is in the documentary thing that like he talks about, he's like, we want you to wake up, you're the Doomslayer, and it says like invasion or whatever, like we know it's ridiculous, it's ridiculous, let's fucking rock and roll, like right from the start. And they're
right,
like, we want you to feel powerful, we want you to feel like you're a one man wrecking machine, and that you're gonna fuck this, like, and it's like, yes, like how, like hearing them talk about it, it's like that's exactly how I felt when I was playing it, and that's what made it so much fun. And he was like, and he goes, the more you get into the game, it's more like chess. Every room is like a chess game where you're like, where can what do I need to kill more enemies to get more health? Do I need to use this ammo? Like it becomes it's really fun. So
yeah,
yeah, go check out Doom. Overwatch. Now this might be my game of the year.
nice.
Yeah, because Overwatch it took me by surprise. I still play to this day. I play with a lot of the guys from um, the comic. Wow, my mind just went completely blank. Talking comics and talking games podcast. They're so much fun to play with. But yeah, it's just you are. It's not just a first person shooter. It is tiny little raids where you and your team are against this other team, and you got a healer, you got a tank, you got DPS, you have support, and you have to do your role. If you're not good at first person shooters, jump on a healer and heal everybody, and you're gonna have a fucking blast. This makes it so that everyone can have fun. And then there's the fun mode, and then there's the competitive mode. So if you're not competitive, jump into the fun stuff. Unlock the loot crates. Like I just got some of the 2016 winter stuff, like Santa Claus and whatnot. The game is still a ton of fun, so much polish. It is, and it makes sense why the Game Awards chose it as their game of the year. It absolutely is just phenomenal. Did you play any of it all? I forgot. Have you
I,
played any of it? Or
I played a tiny bit, not enough to really even get much of an impression of it.
oh, okay. You're not really into multiplayer games anyway.
Not nah. This is not. This was not made for me, which is totally cool. This is no.
Right, right.
I'm not much of a multiplayer guy.
Oh yeah. And if there's one series that deserves a television show or movie or comics, it is Overwatch. Like people are in love with the characters. I think they just said Tracer just came out like they have all of like it always seems like there's some new story about the characters of this game
Yeah.
that they release over time, and they've released a few new characters, a few new maps, few new modes. This game is ever evolving. I think this is more of a platform where next year we're going to continually get new maps, new characters. I don't think there's going to be an Overwatch 2 for a while.
Yeah. No, that would be smart.
Oh, very smart. And that's kind of how Blizzard does their thing. But we'll come up to a break. When we get back, we'll get more into video games. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we'll see you guys all in a minute.
Welcome back to We Geek Podcast here on the N.FM. We're gonna bounce through some of these pretty quick. I mean, we've kind of, Pokemon Go. What can we say that hasn't already been said?
Just crazy how popular that game got.
Yeah, it was a legitimate phenomenon for like 2 weeks.
Never seen a video game ever do something like that.
No,
it
was
the
crazy.
attention of everyone to get out and to exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just came out on the Apple Watch, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Yeah. So
they need to do is they need to release Gen 2 like now.
Yeah, instead of like they're doing like a slow rollout that you can hatch some of them. No, it needs to be like a full update of like and here.
Yes, yeah, we need to get people out moving around again. Yeah, so much potential. So yeah, they need to get to that immediately.
Yeah. Batman, the Telltale series. I know episode 5 just came out like a week ago. I didn't play any more than the first episode, but I absolutely loved it.
Yes.
I don't. Did you play any more than that?
No, just the first episode, and it was really fun. I liked their take on a lot of the characters, and I liked that it was mostly Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so as long as they stick with that, I can't wait to see what they do with Guardians.
Totally.
Next year. Yeah.
And WWE 2K17, I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked the career mode. I liked the way that it had some issues, but they fixed them with updates. Like now things made a lot more sense. I don't know if you've played it in the last couple of months.
I kind of regret getting it digitally because I've realized it's just not for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I need to play it with other people. I've only played it by myself, and I don't know. You know what I want? I want the old like arcade style wrestling games where it's just like ridiculous.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
Pokemon Sun and Moon.
So good.
This was a big year for Pokemon. I still haven't played a whole lot of Moon, but like I can just sometimes you start playing a game and you can see all the potential.
Yes.
Like you just know it's coming. That's what I get like every time I open up Moon and I get excited.
Yeah, I've just been so busy with everything that's going on with the holidays that I haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, I'm on the second island. I'm almost done with the second island, so
nice.
Yeah, I'm having a ton of fun with it.
Excellent. And Final Fantasy 15 finally. And for me this game did not disappoint. I still boot it up every now and then and knock a few things out. One day I am going to just buckle down and tear through the story. I just haven't had that itch yet. I'm like, no, I want to, I actually want to grind a little, which is bizarre for me.
Well, that's what I've been doing. See, I'm getting kind of burned out on the side quests. I think I had all these ambitions to I'm gonna knock out every quest, and after a while I'm like, no. Okay, I'm just gonna jump to the main story. But ever since I saw Rogue One, I've been on a kick playing Star Wars games, so I haven't.
There you go.
I haven't been back to it. Yeah, dude, that Super Star Wars. Have you? Oh man, the one from the Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
So fucking hard.
Yeah.
God, like I'm just on the third part of it here, the Jawa thing, and I'm just like, and then when you die, you lose like your special gun, and you're like, fuck, now I really can't get past this level.
Oh, no more Ion Blaster for you.
Yeah, exactly. God, what a
Uh,
series. You
good
know what I'm
time.
waiting for? And prediction real fast. I know we don't have much time. I think this year at Celebration they're going to announce Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, the super version of them for the system. They have to,
I think
since
so. I think it'd be stupid not to.
it'd be really dumb if they didn't.
Yeah.
Since they already got the first one out there. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but no, excellent, awesome.
Yep.
We'll dip into some books real quick. Talking about Star Wars. I just finished Ahsoka, and it was so good.
Yes.
It was
That's
so
what I hear.
good. Yeah, it's a nice little like it's a little scattered, but you realize that so is she, and that's the way the narrative works fits her,
Yeah.
and it's great. Yeah, it's really good. And you get introduced to some ideas that we get in Rebels, and it's good. It's really good. I really really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I recommend Catalyst. You need to go read that one for Rogue
Okay,
One.
will do.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And to we'll bounce a little bit here, and we'll go to Bloodline, which was
Hmm.
also phenomenal. That was out earlier this year,
Yep.
and also so good.
Hmm.
And
Oh
it
yeah.
was different time frame. This was post episode 6, but only barely.
Right. Right.
And just really good, really really good.
Oh yeah. 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 Absolutely. It was nice to read something about Princess Leia.
Yeah, yeah, no
You know.
kidding. But, we had the script for Harry Potter and the Cursed Child
Hmm.
published. Good, good, different. Not really what I was expecting, and I like that.
Nice.
We had the second in the Magnus Chase series. Rick Riordan does all the young adult mythology series, and he's every year just crushes it. This one I
Hmm.
threw on here in particular because of the idea of it was big to have a trans character, and tackled
Okay.
it in a fantastic way. And for that, I would recommend this for that alone, just to see how deftly this was done. It was
Mm.
absolutely phenomenal, and my hat is off to him for that.
Oh, okay.
And this one was interesting because Goodreads does their like here are the best books of the year, and one that jumped out to me was Rebel of the Sands, and
Mm.
it's got kind of an alchemist flair to it. It's
Oh.
it's Old West in the Middle East meets some magic,
Mm.
and it was curious, and I just couldn't quit reading it.
Oh, cool.
So that was definitely worth the time for sure to check out. I forget the author. I'm terrible at that. But
Alwyn Hamilton.
sure, that sounds about right.
Or yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely something to check out. Um,
Cool.
and we had comics from this past year. We had the big events. We had Civil War 2, which I think just ended. It's like Secret Wars all over again. It was like it's gonna be
Yeah.
over by no, it's not.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but interesting, and a different interesting take on this story. Clearly they did a Civil War comic because they were doing a Civil War movie, but it worked
Right.
for the most part, I think. Um, Talk a little about DC Rebirth because you read a lot of these and I did not.
Um. It was. It was. I loved the Superman stuff. It was a little underwhelming. I didn't read too much of DC Rebirth, but the stuff I did read was mostly Superman, if I'm being honest. And I loved it. I loved that now we were getting uh, two Supermen. We were getting the new 52 version, and then we were getting the original version. And of course, with him, he brought along Lois and his son. I loved that dynamic of it. Uh, um, the one comic that stood out to me um, was not really a part of the rebirth. It was American Alien.
I was just gonna say I was I forgot to put
Yeah,
that on this list.
yeah.
Yes.
by Max Landis. It's by far and away my favorite comic this year. You can pick up the graphic novel of it, and it's you don't need to know anything else. It basically it's Max, and it's like apparently Max Landis is going to have his own little section of the DC universe where it's called the Max Landis verse, where yeah, where he told this story of Superman. I'd love to see him do it of Batman or something, but he tells this story, and I think it's like 7 issues or something like that. I forget how many there actually.
Six, I
Yeah,
think.
no, yes, seven issue
Oh,
miniseries.
okay, cool.
And what I found so interesting is they're all very different. They're all the first one is very much like a Pixar movie, um, and they're all different artists as well. So, and it tells different points in his life, different stories in his life, and it's very one of the issues, he's on a boat and he's in his early 20s, and there's girls doing like cocaine and stuff, and like he's dealing with um that that like he's talking to these girls, and it's really weird, and and they think he's Bruce Wayne and he pretends to be Bruce Wayne on the boat.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool, and then like a later issue, it's later on in life where he's past that party, where he's not a party phase, but past his early 20s where he would even be around any of that. And, he is, trying to get a job in Metropolis. And he meets Lois and stuff like that. So, Batman is actually in the series and, he runs into the real Bruce Wayne. And it's just a really cool story told in 7 issues of Superman's life, told by Max Landis. Max Landis, um, uh, very famously made the video about Superman. I think it was like nobody. I think it's like titled "Nobody Likes Superman" or "No One Cares About Clark Kent" or something like that.
Yeah.
And DC had the balls to go, okay, if you think you can do it better, prove it.
Yeah. And
And
hats off to them for doing that.
yeah, absolutely. And everyone won. Everyone won. Max Landis got to tell his story. DC allowed him to do it, and it was one of their best sellers for the whole year. So, absolutely go pick it up. Jesus, like it's amazing. It's one of my favorite. But yeah, that was one of my favorite for the DC. I got to catch up with comics. I've
Yeah.
been really behind on them. Yeah.
Yeah. One that you should read is Harrow County. And I threw it on here because, we were coming out of like Archie of the Dead or whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this. And for a horror comic, it's incredible. The storytelling
Oh,
in it
okay.
is magnificent. It is. It's a horror comic, and it's fantastic. It
Oh, okay.
is.
Yeah, I see. It's Dark Horse.
Yeah, and it's not something like, oh, it's a horror, so that means there has to be, the popping blood and all this. No, it's creepy. It is so creepy. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
But so I mean, there was all that. And we'll take a minute here and look back at wrestling. We'll jump through this
Mm-hmm.
pretty quickly. Two of the biggest things this year. The first was the foundation and immediate rise of What Culture Pro Wrestling.
Right.
It's just, if you're not watching this on YouTube, you have got to check it out. If you're a wrestling fan, you will love this. It's entertaining. It's athletic. These guys give wrestlers a platform and say go,
Right.
and the ring work is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And the second biggest thing this year was Broken Matt Hardy, the
Right.
complete reinvention of Matt and everything. I mean, that's the final deletion flipped wrestling on its head, for better or
Right.
worse, wherever you come down on it.
Mm-hmm.
There hasn't been anything like that in a long time.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It's crazy. It's crazy what he's done.
Yeah, and it's worked, and because he is committed to it. He's 110% like all in on this.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
but we had that. We had a little controversy from the Best of the Super Juniors over in New Japan. Will Ospreay and Ricochet put on a match that was a spot fest, and you know there's
What's that mean for
the
people who don't know?
Spotfest is just like, here are all of these big flashy, dives and just the craziness. But you would see a handful of them. Think of like a TLC match, and you're watching this and you're like, oh my god, that was amazing. It's an oh my god moment.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
this was a match that was like nothing but them. And it was an interesting way of looking at it, of like, is this what wrestling is now, or was it too much?
Mm.
And that's an interesting conversation to have. And whichever side you come down on, Vader came down on this side of, this is terrible, they've destroyed wrestling, wrestling is dead, and I think that's too far. but
Right.
but some of the other big news this year: Daniel Bryan retired and
Yeah.
gave just a hell of a speech.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if you're gonna go out, man, do it that way.
Right.
And then they brought him on to SmackDown, where we've seen Shane McMahon more than him. So do with that what you will.
Well, I mean, he's getting ready. He's getting ready for his baby and stuff. I don't. I think
True.
after his contract's up, that's the last we're gonna see of him.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Okay, so here's the deal. You don't watch Total Divas.
No, I know, but
You need to watch it. Like
Yeah.
I like. It's. I know that you would enjoy it because I know that you hate that kind of stuff with a passion.
Yeah.
It's nothing like what you think it is.
Okay.
Honestly, I think as a wrestling fan, you would enjoy it because Daniel Bryan, I know we don't have much time, but he's a smart guy. And I love just how down to earth he is, and he puts them in their place really fast when they go just they don't live in the real world, and he's like, no guys, come back to reality here.
Yeah. Nice.
And he's talked about it very openly on their shows about how he does the thing he hates about wrestling the most is when there's not wrestling.
Yeah.
And you can tell he doesn't like doing that.
Yeah.
And he's talked about it. He's like, I don't want to do this after my contract's up.
Huh.
He wants to just be a little farmer, be a little hobbit. Yeah.
That's good for
Sorry,
him.
go ahead.
But yeah, and I mean the debuts that we had this year, AJ Styles at the Rumble, and then went on to have just a banner year.
Yeah,
I mean, what an amazing year. Shinsuke Nakamura debuting at NXT TakeOver Dallas and had a massive year.
He's one of the big reasons why I got back into wrestling. I have. Yeah, as soon as I saw him, I gravitated to him. I was like, that guy's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, we had the women's division, not just on SmackDown, but everything with Sasha and Charlotte, the history that's been made and deserved. Some people think it's a little rushed. I think they've earned it.
Oh yeah.
I know we're running out of time, but I've got to talk hashtag DIY. Their 2 out of 3 falls match at TakeOver Toronto with the Revival is the greatest tag team match in I don't know how long. It's extraordinary.
Right.
And we had Heath Slater and James Ellsworth do the comedy bits and get over, which was great. We saw the Cruiserweight Classic, which was amazing, that has since been just squandered. Everything that Chris Jericho has done this year. I mean, this has been the year of Jericho, no matter what you might think. Bobby Roode coming to NXT and just hamming it up extraordinarily. Kudos to him. And Goldberg. I mean, what more is there to say? But what happened? I mean, it's been a great year for wrestling.
It really has.
It's been a fantastic year.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens with the Rumble and Mania.
Yeah, right.
Can't wait. Orlando's gonna be great during Mania. You got to make it down, man.
I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna work on it for sure.
Do it.
Yeah, but I think that's gonna be it for us this week. For this year, really.
Yep.
Again, we're on Twitter at We Geek Podcast, at Adam Estep, at The Logan Witt. Don't forget, let's get this trending. Post up, what project are you working on? What dream do you want to accomplish? Hashtag call to arts. Let's do that. Yep. We're on Facebook, We Geek Podcast. Any comments, questions, email us wegeekpodcast@gmail.com. If you're on
let us know what you liked this year.
Excellent. There we go. That's a good way to do it. Rate us on iTunes. Write us a little review. We love that. and we'll see you next year, Captain.
Captain.